Your food, your medicine, your cars, your oil, your lumber, your concrete, it all goes up. And Canada's position so far has been largely to threaten the US back.
Canada will respond.
I don't like it.
Everything is on the table.
They won't be tariff without impact. They cannot be tariff without consequences.
We need to target where it's going to impact Americans the most.
Canada's in a bit of a messy situation right now. You have federal liberals that are actually swearing during live interviews. You have the Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who's panicking and calling an election next month, 1 year ahead of schedule. You have more proof that it seems like Donald Trump is really serious about acquiring Canada as a 51st state. And then you have these tariffs just less than a week away, days away from making Canadian lives way more difficult. There's a lot to talk about in this video, so I hope you stick around for the full thing. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. I'd like to encourage you guys to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And before we get into the news, I do want to talk about investing in your health. If you're trying to get in shape either for a New Year's goal or maybe you want that summer body that you've always been dreaming of, then listen up because this part of the video is for you. I've seen this time and time again where people are doing exactly what they need to be doing, but for some reason it's not working. They meal prep, they weight lift, they do some cardio, but they're just not getting the results that they want, and it's not for the reasons that you would suspect. In most cases, it has to do with your metabolic flexibility. I've personally been using Lumen for the past few weeks to really understand how the food I eat fits into the bigger picture, how easily my body shifts from burning carbs to fat to energy. This is what metabolic flexibility is all about. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. With just one breath, first thing in the morning, Lumen can measure your metabolism. It lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and stress management. No more cookie cutter, one-size-fits-all nutrition plans. Lumen lets you know what's happening in your body in real time and helps you build a personalized plan based off the data that your body is generating, which is going to be different than anybody else. So a big question everyone asks is, how does it all work? First, Lumen gives you daily macro recommendations based on what's going on with your metabolism that day, so you can fuel your body with what's best for you. Then right before a workout, you just breathe into Lumen and it'll tell you if you are burning carbs or fat. Lumen will tell you if you need to carb up before your workout for an energy boost or if you're all set to go. Using this biofeedback, Lumen puts you in the most optimal state for getting the most out of your workouts. In the long run, all these changes, they really add up. And it makes all the difference when you're trying to burn excess fat, gain muscle, and improve your health. So if you want to take back control of your health, hit your New Year's resolution, or get that summer body that you've always wanted, then go to lumen.me/sunshine or click the link down below in the description or the pinned comment below and get yourself 20% off your Lumen today. With 25% tariffs right around the corner, cost of living is going to increase here in Canada. And so getting 20% off something that's reinvesting in your health is a pretty good deal. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring today's video. So I came across a YouTube video just last night and I'm like, wow, that was really educational and interesting. Canada has invested on a $40 billion project, one of the largest, if not the largest LNG plants pretty much ever, like anywhere. And this is in BC, Kitimat, BC. Let's take a look here. This is what it looks like. It's a huge, huge facility. It's been under construction since 2018, and this is supposed to provide so much money to Canada. And it's kind of interesting and poetic because this was actually approved by Justin Trudeau. Prime Minister Trudeau approved the LNG Canada project in Kitimat, BC. The project was a $40 billion investment in a liquefied natural gas export terminal, which is kind of crazy because everything that he's ever really talked about in the past few years has been the total opposite of that. And I don't know if he's put up a lot of red tape that would prevent that project from being fully completed, but it's still not fully there, at least not to the best of my understanding. And I find it ironic that Trudeau says one thing and does another. And I feel like Canada right now needs to turn the taps on. We need to drill more than America. We need to be massive exports of oil and gas, LNG, everything. We have the resources and we have the minerals, but we don't have the right leadership. especially when you have Liberal MPs like this guy right here, Mark Miller, crack under pressure and start swearing and calling other politicians certain names.
Jagmeet Singh suggested at his most recent presser that he would look into amending the Safe Third Country Act for trans Americans. Is that something that your government would consider?
No, I mean, look, we're obviously my heart goes out to the gay community and the trans community in the U.S. right now. They're going through a difficult time. As I'd mentioned,
this doesn't impact the gay community at all. It doesn't impact you. You can be gay. There's no reversal of gay marriage. That's not what that impacts at all.
It's a stretch to create a whole new category of people that would be considered asylum seekers or refugees, and that's just reality. Whatever Jagmeet Singh is going on in his head, it's up to him really to think about.
This is so misleading. It's so misleading because that's not what's happening in America. America is recognizing two genders. You can identify as whatever the hell you want, but the reality is when it comes time to file documents or talk to people, you can be X, Y, and Z, but you're either a man or a woman. And it seems like Pierre Poilievre is following suit in a little bit less aggressive and more progressive way, but it's still, I mean, it still seems to be like North America is only going to recognize two genders moving forward. This doesn't impact the gay community at all. You can be gay. You can be gay. You can be not gay. It doesn't matter. But there's two genders, according to Trump and according to Pierre.
So I also, Pierre Poilievre, again, is being a jackass with his whole weaponization of the gender debate. He said he only recognizes two genders. I've only ever seen him really recognize one or spend most of his time on one gender, so at least that's a step up. But again, he has to be stopping a jackass on gender issues. It's just stupid, and it's not.
Wow, he's cracking under pressure, man. This guy's not fit to be a MP. He was literally about to, the French part of his brain started to roll on, and he was ready and guns blazing to answer that question in French, and then he took a second and reverted back to, you know what? Pierre's a jackass. That's right. I'm really going to stick it to him with this. It's just super bizarre. How many genders are there, Mark Miller? Please answer that question. We would love to know. List all of the genders and then give us a number of how many genders there really are. Next up, we're taking a look at the Liberal leadership race and what the latest updates are for that.
As the federal Liberal Party continues its march towards a post-Justin Trudeau future, today Chrystia Freeland penned an open letter to her leadership rivals, calling on them to run in the next election no matter who winds up as party leader. CTV's Jeremy Sharon has been tracking this. And Jeremy, what all was in that letter?
You keep seeing it time and time again. Freeland is in control of the leadership race now. I totally thought Mark Carney was going to win, but now I think that it's actually going to be Freeland. She's the one that's posting these updates. She's the one that's encouraging all the other candidates to do this. She's calling for public debates. She has full control of that situation. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
Heather, this appears to be an attempt by Chrystia Freeland to put some pressure on Mark Carney, a perceived frontrunner who has gained momentum and significant support among caucus and cabinet. Now, in response to a request from CTV News, Mark Carney's team has confirmed that he is committed to running in the next general election. Now, part of that note also calls for 4 Liberal leadership debates, 2 in French and 2 in English. Here's more from Chrystia Freeland earlier today on her decision to put out that letter.
This is an important contest. We are choosing the next leader of the Liberal Party. That means that we're choosing the next Prime Minister of Canada. It's really important to give all Canadians a chance to see the candidates in action, to hear what they have to say, to hear what they have to offer Canadians.
Now, 7 candidates have officially submitted their paperwork. That means signatures, 300 signatures supporting their bid for Liberal leadership, and an initial $50,000 fee, part of a larger $350,000 that they're required to raise in order to run in this leadership race. The deadline to raise those funds is February 17th. This all feels very much like the beginning of this Liberal leadership campaign, and it has felt that way in Ottawa. We saw some of the leaders yesterday holding private events trying to shore up support among Liberal MPs. Two other significant deadlines to keep in mind. The first is January 27th. That's the deadline to register as a Liberal, required to vote in this Liberal leadership race. And then, of course, March 9th, which is when the Liberals will select their next leader. Now, one more thing to touch on. Karina Gould, who is, of course, running for Liberal leadership, has been replaced as government House leader by Stephen McKinnon, who is the Minister of Employment.
Hold on. Does she have, like, is her belly showing there? Is that what she's wearing? She's wearing a shirt and then you can see her belly? That's like, what? By an MP? By someone who wants to be the prime minister? That's interesting.
Workforce development and
inappropriate.
This additional role, a role that he has already held, presumably all of this happening because Karina Gould is taking part in this Liberal leadership race. Heather?
I can't get over the fact that she's got a shirt that doesn't go in. She didn't tuck her shirt in. You could see her belly there. Does she have a belly button ring? Like, what the hell's going on, man? Hey, don't get me wrong. Look, dress how you want to dress, but there's like a certain level of professionalism when it comes to politics, and having like almost a crop top that's kind of weird, right? I don't know. Am I overreacting? Is that weird or is that not weird? But of course, that's me mansplaining. So maybe there's some women down in the comments who could tell me if that's weird or not weird. I don't know. I think that's unusual, but let me know what you guys think down below. Sorry for fixating on that. That just caught me off guard. Speaking of being caught off guard, let's take a look now at the Ontario election and how they're doing it 1 year early.
Well, it's now confirmed Ontarians will be heading to the polls more than a year ahead of schedule. Premier Doug Ford says an early election will be called next week, with voting day expected to be February 27th. CTV's Adrian Gobriel now on what Ford had to say and the timing of it all. Adrian.
Heather, the worst-kept secret in Ontario politics has been confirmed. Premier Doug Ford announcing today he will be calling a snap election next week to receive a clear mandate to take on Donald Trump and the tariff war knocking on Canada's door.
Right now, there's a lack of leadership at the federal level. And at the federal level, we don't know who's going to be the next prime minister. Right now, we need strong leadership in this country. We need strong leadership in this province.
The decision comes with Ford soaring in the polls, though with a majority government already in hand and Ontario's next scheduled election more than a year away, some believe this is nothing more than a savvy political power play by Ontario's premier.
No, I don't think he needs a renewed mandate. He has a mandate for a fixed period of time.
Ford will be hitting the campaign trail just as Donald Trump has pledged to slap Canada with historic tariffs that could plunge Ontario and the country into a recession. Ford is pledging to stay focused on Washington.
During this election, I'll still be premier. Every single day, I'll be talking to our ministers. We'll be getting policies out there. I will be going down as the chair of the Federation, along with all my colleagues, all the premiers, down to Washington.
At this time where we should be preparing.
I don't like Ford. I don't like Doug Ford and what he's trying to do against Trump. I think that it's in bad taste. I think that it's an overreaction, and I think that should not be the primary focus. The focus should be on fixing our country. Never mind the tariffs. You really think that America punches us, we punch Big Brother America, and they're just going to leave it at that and say, oh, okay, fair game, let's shake hands and move on? That's not at all what's going to happen. They're going to keep hitting us back. I don't like it. These people are saying that they're doing what's best for Canada. No, you're not. No, you're not. This isn't an ego fight. This is like almost a hostage negotiation. You got to be calm, man. You got to be calm. America is different now. Trump is different now. You can't be going at this. That's through my eyes. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm ignorant. But I don't think that what Doug Ford and what he's trying to band together with all the other premiers and MPs and stuff like that of how we need to hit back America, I don't think that that's a good approach at all. So for that reason, literally only, that's a make or break for me on whether I like a politician or whether I don't like a politician. But let me know if you're from Ontario and if you plan on voting for Ford or not. Next up here, you got this CBC headline that says Trudeau pulled the Liberals left. Where do they go from here. And that's a phenomenal thing to think about. So everyone is trying to distance themselves from Justin Trudeau. Karina Gould doesn't really have that much attachment to Trudeau. Mark Carney obviously does. The only reason he got roped into politics was because of Trudeau. And Chrystia Freeland, she of course was Trudeau's right-hand man or right-hand woman. And I think everybody's trying to do as best they can right now to distance themselves from Trudeau because he is just a ticking time bomb, because he's sunk the ship so far down. And so Freeland's reversal of, well, we're going to get rid of the consumer carbon tax, and people keep saying that over and over again. They promoted it for years. I mean, they had the opportunity to stand up in the House of Commons, stand up in press conferences when we were at insane levels of unaffordability, which we still are, and say, look, we just can't do this to Canadians. I understand that maybe that's their beliefs, and maybe they truly think in their heart that they do need to put a price on pollution at some point. But doing it right now, they had an opportunity for years to say, hey, this isn't going to work for Canadians because life is so expensive already. Why are we taxing people? We could do this later. We could do it in a different way. If that's truly their belief system, right? I don't agree with it. I don't think we should have a price on pollution. Just let people live, man. Just let people live. Don't try to force people to switch to electric vehicles and all that. Just let people do what they are going to do anyways. And that brings us to the tariffs and what is going to happen with Donald Trump tariff threats on February 1st. This is a very controversial thing because there's a divisiveness in Canada. People are automatically jumping with Liberals and NDP and saying, yeah, we absolutely need to fight back. And I'm just kind of sitting here watching all of our politicians have different reactions, and I'm judging every single one of them. Anyone who supports a retaliatory attack on America right away without trying to fix and solve the problems that were asked of us, I don't like that at all. And I'm trying my best to call it out. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think we should have retaliatory attacks? Do you not think? To answer some of those questions, we have this video here by CBC that has a very in-depth breakdown.
One of Donald Trump's most consistent threats, before and since becoming president, has been that he will place steep tariffs, taxes, on incoming Canadian goods to the U.S.
We're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
So if you're American, this might make your life more expensive. Your food, your medicine, your cars, your oil, your lumber, your concrete, it all goes up. And Canada's position so far has been largely to threaten the U.S. back.
Canada will respond.
I don't like it.
Everything is on the table.
They won't be tariffed without impact. They cannot be tariffed without consequences.
We need to target where it's going to impact Americans the most.
Just about everybody's gearing up for a fight.
Why though? Why? We're not talking about dealing with Luxembourg, man. We're talking about America. This is America, the world's superpower. They control the world. They control the economy. Our dollar goes up or down based off of the American dollar and American politics. Yes, Canada has our own influence on our own dollar, but America runs the globe. They run the planet. The best countries in the world right now are in America. The tech industry is from America. The crypto capital of the world is going to be in America. Everything is in America. Now, as a Canadian, I think that we should be playing nice with them so that we can get a little piece of the pie and then work on our own stuff too. But most importantly, not piss them off. Does that mean that occasionally we bend the knee to America and some of their demands? I think that that's a very situational thing. Right now, what he's asking, what Trump has asked of Canadians is kind of reasonable. Fix your shit and stop letting your shit bleed into America. We have our own stuff to worry about. Sorry for swearing. And that's a reasonable ask. We can all agree that Canada is broken. We have a broken system here. We've got crime, drugs running rampant. We should be fixing those things. So why are they immediately jumping to the idea of, well, no, we're not going to fix those things just yet. We're going to get into a trade war first and then slowly fix them. Maybe.
So what does that trade war look like? And when does it actually begin? Let's let's start by underscoring really the most immediate problem with all of this.
Probably February 1st is the date we're looking at. We're talking about approximately 25%.
Probably February 1st, approximately 25%, without really any more detail than that. These are threats, not policy.
Until we get certainty as to the amount of the tariffs, the form that they take, and the duration, everything is hypothetical.
But let's say we take Trump's words at face value, and he orders a 25% across-the-board tariff on all goods coming in from Canada and Mexico. What does that do to the American economy? Well, one study by a Washington think tank suggests two things would happen. Inflation would go up, and GDP would go down. Let's tackle those one at a time. Why would inflation go up? Well, contrary to what Trump believes, or says he believes,
We will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
when you put a tax on foreign goods, it's not those countries who pay the tax. And here's why. Let's say I have a booming American business in mystery boxes. What's in these boxes? Who knows? Doesn't matter. Maybe it's a Mexican avocado, or it could be a Canadian LX877 Feller Buncher. You don't know. But for me to sell these mystery boxes to Americans, I have to import them first. And if my cost is $100 a box, a 25% tariff means my business has to pay a 25% tax on every box.
The fee is generally paid by the importer. The importer has to pay the fee to the U.S. government.
So it's not Canada, it's not Mexico, it's not the exporter that pays. It's the American company buying that product to sell to the American people that pays. Now, here I have a choice. My business can eat that extra cost, and many companies do this so that their customers don't stop buying their product. And they might...
But they would stop buying it because it would be too expensive. Therefore, it would be hurting the exporter, in this case, us.
Especially do this if they don't think the tariffs will stay for long, like it's just short-term pain. But my other option as a business is to pass my higher costs onto you, the customer.
It will mostly be U.S. consumers or U.S. purchasers of intermediary goods from Canada who will pay the tariffs.
And that can amount to more than just a 25% hike in price. Because if my mystery boxes cost me $125 to import instead of $100, remember, I don't sell you the boxes at cost. I have to make a profit. And if my regular markup is 40%, I might now charge my customers $175 per box instead of my normal price of $140. That's a more than 25% increase. We saw a really interesting example.
I find it so funny that all these analysts are doing the same thing over and over and over again, and they're falling into the trap. Here's how the policies are supposed to work. This is the golden standard for how things work. And here's what Trump is hypothetically proposing. And so we've now figured out exactly what what's going to happen, and it's not going to work in favor of Trump. You're right. Yeah. Trump is somehow a failed businessman who's going to hurt himself and U.S. citizens. That doesn't make any sense. They're not factoring in any plot twists, any wrenches that Trump throws into the mix. He said that importers, so in this case, America puts 25% tariffs on Canadians. Canadians still sell stuff to America. The American companies then have to buy it for 25% extra. Trump could just rewrite it and say, no, if you're selling stuff here in America, if you're exporting to America, you, the exporters, are paying to bring your stuff into America. That could exactly be how it goes. This like not factoring in any sort of plot twists, any sort of things that make it more advantageous for America is absolutely ridiculous.
Example of this inflationary pressure at work in 2018, when Trump put a tariff on washing machines. American researchers did a whole study about this because not only did the cost of imported washing machines go up, LG and Samsung are South Korean, but even American washing machines somehow became more expensive.
You see your competitors putting up their prices because of tariffs, and you are not importing, when they have an opportunity to make money, well, that's what you do.
And here's the kicker. This study also found that the price of dryers, their price went up by a similar magnitude. It didn't matter if you were foreign or domestic. Dryer prices across the board went up by a very noticeable amount in a very small amount of time. Dryers weren't even part of the Trump tariffs in 2018, but because people tend to buy washers and dryers in pairs, businesses charged more money for them too. So that's the inflation side of things. What about the drop in GDP?
It will reduce the amount of income in consumers' pockets to go spend on restaurants, cars, home renovations, etc.
The logic here is pretty straightforward. When prices go up, consumers have less spending power. More of their money is going to pay this 25% tariff to the government. And that means businesses are taking in less money. Consumer spending accounted for almost 70%.
People aren't spending money anymore. People aren't going out to restaurants. People aren't doing those things because we have less money now than we pretty much ever have. Wages are not going up, but taxes are. I know they're saying inflation's at 1.1%, blah, 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 blah. But we're still impacted by the increase of cost during the blip. Groceries. Not specifically groceries, but more particularly blueberries. They were like $4.99 for a small little basket. And now that same basket's like $9.99, $12.99, whatever it is, right? It's crazy. You look at some fruit and you're like, what? That's gotta be double the price of 2019, 2020. And it actually is, if not more than double the price. And because wages haven't gone up, we're still screwed. We're still screwed by that. This is horrible. This is why getting into any sort of trade deal at all is so stupid by Canadian politicians. Just kiss the ring, man. Holy crap, it's America. Just say, okay, yes, we're going to fix our stuff. We should have been doing it from the beginning. We're sorry. What can we do? What can we do to make it right? We're sorry, Trump.
Of US GDP last year. It is the driver of the American economy. And speaking of drivers, the auto industry is a really good example of how damaging tariffs can be for those who have to pay them. Because cars aren't just built in one country. The engine might be built in one place, the transmission in another. Then they're assembled in yet another place. And all of these components can cross national borders multiple times before they magically turn into a car. A tariff charges a tax every time they do.
You say that the average car crosses the border 7 or 8 times, 9 times over the course of its production. Trying to unwind that in a way that doesn't hurt American consumers is an incredibly difficult task. I spoke to one trade analyst in the United States who said, tinkering even a little bit with the fundamentals of that trade organization is like doing surgery without anesthesia.
And consider how some parts manufacturers have plants on both sides of the Canada-US border, and many ship parts between locations constantly. A company like that would have to completely rethink its supply chain, or else face 25% higher costs, sometimes multiple times for the same product.
If you're a manufacturer that is responsible for that supply chain, would you not just move your supply chain entirely into the US and forget the idea of having to deal with tariffs entirely?
And there's the key to understanding Trump's position. Another stated goal of these tariffs is to turn American purchases into American jobs by actually making the things that people usually buy.
America will be a manufacturing nation once again. We will bring prices down.
It's also worth mentioning, tariffs do bring money in to the US Treasury. The estimates I've seen from what Trump has proposed are in the hundreds of billions of dollars a year. That's money that can fund the military, border control, tax cuts, whatever Republicans want. But long before any of that happens, countries like Canada suffer greatly.
And that's why we shouldn't be doing it. That's why that's it. Done. Boom. Canada's going to suffer greatly. So why? This is a question that I have for our Canadian politicians like Doug Ford, freaking moron, man. Trudeau, Jagmeet, the Liberals. Everybody that's saying we should be getting into a trade war and we should be hitting them with retaliatory tariffs. Why are you trying to hurt Canadians? If you are Canada first, if you're trying to put Canada ahead of everyone, the greater good, all that stuff, why are you trying to hurt Canadians? The ask is simply laid out. Fix your borders. Stop fentanyl from crossing into America. Stop crime that's going into America. Bad people, bad actors in Canada. Yeah, it's a bit of a daunting task to do, but it's not impossible, and it should have been done from the get-go. We shouldn't have had an American president point these things out and say, yeah, we're gonna have to penalize you for that. That's not good. That's actually very embarrassing. But that's my take, folks. I would absolutely love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. That is the end of the video. A bit of a long one today. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button, subscribe, and just remember that supporting the sponsors of this channel is a way of supporting this channel. I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.